D-Day was a major turning point during World War II, but before the Battle of Normandy and the invasion of the Allied forces, the situation was quite confusing. D-Day was a confusing date because it was the day of the invasion and occupation of France, and this day had been postponed repeatedly since May that same year. This massive delay was caused mostly because of the bad weather and enormous tactical disadvantages and big obstacles involved. Finally, despite less than ideal weather conditions, General Eisenhower decided on June 5th to set the next day as D-Day. This day was known as the launch of the largest amphibious operation in history, with approximately 5,000 ships on low tides of one of history's biggest turning points in the war. Omaha Beach was the location of the attack, where aerial bombardments had been done to dent German defenses. The Americans met fierce resistance, and from atop the cliffs, the defenders pummeled the U.S. troops with machine guns and attacked them. This attack cost the lives of more than 2,000 casualties. This is D-Day. June to August 1944 paved the way for the successful invasion of northern France. It was codenamed Operation Overlord, and it began on June 6, 1944. By the end of August, all of northern France was liberated. D-Day was called the start of the end of the war in Europe. D-Day, as many call it, was when approximately 157,000 American, British, and Canadian soldiers fought in this 50-mile stretched beach. This also was the grave for thousands of soldiers that fought on the Normandy beach.
The strategy of the Allies was basically get out of the water and run as quickly as possible to the beach so that they could protect themselves from the German machine guns. As you can imagine, the Allied soldiers were very heavy. They had to carry their heavy guns and their supplies with food and more ammunition. The fact that the tanks had to come to beach was a very difficult task.
After the German bunkers were conquered, it was easier for the Allies to bring heavy machinery like tanks to the beach so that they could conquer more land.
During the Battle of Normandy in the Second World War, Caen was liberated in early July, a month after the Normandy landings, or D-Day, particularly by the British First Corps on June 6, 1944. British and Canadian troops had intended to capture the town after they had landed on D-Day. However, they were held up on the north of the city until July 9th, when an intense bombing campaign during Operation Carnwood destroyed 70% of the city, killing 2,000 French citizens. The Allies seized the western quarters a month later than Field Marshal Montgomery's original plan. During the battle, many of the town's inhabitants sought refuge in the Men's Abbey, built by William the Conqueror some 800 years before. Both the cathedral and the university were entirely destroyed by the British and Canadian bombings.
In conclusion, during the war, the Nazis would do anything to protect the countries they invaded. Although that beach is empty and silent, back then that beach was filled with soldiers and amphibious tanks ready to come into northern France and attack. So much noise could have been heard. Now what's left from the war is the silence of the fallen. After D-Day, the Allied forces' presence was known to the Nazis, and after that, the first city the Allied forces went to liberate was Caen. Many soldiers lost their lives and were buried at the American cemetery, which is located near the beach of Omaha.